Nathan speaking. Welcome to the NH Fitness Lifestyle video, and what I'm going to be discussing today is giving you a little bit of encouragement and help you to drink that little bit more water. In fact, there's going to be 8 tips to boost your hydration throughout each day. Yes, so before I go into that, there's lots of information out there how much water you should drink. I think a really good standpoint is 3 litres. But obviously that determines how much activities you're doing, whether there's a cold climate, whether it's really hot. And the fundamental way how you're going to really know whether you're keeping hydrated or whether you're dehydrated, and that is by checking your wee.
Sorry, what did he say?
Yeah, that's right, checking your wee, your urine. Now right here is a chart where it shows whereabouts you want to be on that chart. So normal would be a dark, transparent yellow, and that's when you know you're kind of okay. But have a look at that chart, because that will really give you a good standpoint how hydrated or dehydrated you actually are. Now with water, it goes without saying how important it is to be hydrated. I mean, your body has kind of been estimated to be around about 70% water, so that kind of makes sense how important it is. Now the benefits of drinking more water is on the following. It's good for weight loss, it's good for digestion, brain, your skin. It's a headache cure. It's good for your energy levels. It makes you better when you exercise. So it goes without saying how important keeping you hydrated is. So come with me and let's start from the top, and that is tip number 1. Let's go. So tip number 1 is to drink first thing in the morning. Now, great little tip. I've covered this previously on another video, but the importance of having everything ready in the container. So I use filtered water. As you can see right here, I've got 2 containers of filtered water, which is always filled up the night before, and I fill up throughout the day, and that encourages me to have it first thing. But the other thing I also do is I've got a water dispenser in the fridge as well, which means it's nice and cold, so it'll be all ready first thing in the morning, just to encourage me to drink that little bit more. So as you can see, I'm actually filling it up now. And again, you can have nice cold filtered water first thing in the morning. Right, let's go on to the second tip. Now tip 2, and that is get a bottle of water where you can refill it. Now you can get the bottle of water where it's plain and you can just keep refilling it through the day. I'd say get a relative size one, like this. This is equivalent of like 2 gallons, so that'd be really good. The other little tip what you can do to give you a little bit of a nudge throughout the day is this has all times throughout the day where my water level should be, and also it's got nice little quotes just to give me that little nudge, as I said just a second ago. The other thing you can do, if you're not a fan of drinking plain water all day, is get a fruit infuser, where at the top you cut bits of fruit and then the juices from the fruit will seep into the water, and that gives you nice flavour to that water, rather than, like I said, just having plain water all day. So I highly recommend that. Get a couple of different bottles as well. Obviously this one I'll use, and there'll be another one, and I can mention later on another tip why that's important. Tip number 3, and that is have a glass of water straight after having a toilet break. And that's a good little habit stacker that, you know, you've just went to the toilet, so then you're going to replenish, get hydrated. Even if you just have a sip of water, just make sure you have that in your head. Just went to the toilet, I'm going to have a sip of water. And that's a nice little trick. Now let's go on to tip number 4. Okay, so now on to tip number 4, and that is always have a bottle of water on your desk. As you can see, I've almost drunk that, so I'd refill that back up. I tend to use the filtered water like I mentioned earlier. But again, what you want it to be is the bigger bottle is the one what you use for most of the time. So if you're out and about like myself, I'll use that one, like I mentioned earlier, the ones with the times to prompt me. But for the smaller one is the one what you do secondary. So if you're the type to be on your desk all the time, you'll use the bigger one. But like I said, for me, I'm out more often than being on my desk, so my second one would be the smaller one. So that's a great tip, that you've got 2 different bottles to make sure you keep your water on point. And that is tip number 4. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, now let me discuss tip number 5, and that is always take water with you when you leave the house. Whether that's to get in your car, whether that's to go for a walk, or whether you're going from meeting to meeting, to your friend's house, whatever it may be, maybe either go to the gym, always take your go-to bottle of water. And again, like I discussed earlier, this one has got the times where it can prompt you a little words on there and quotes, just to make sure I keep on point with the water. And that's by far a really good tip just to keep you on track with that water. Now on tip number 6, and that is manage your caffeine levels. Whether that's coffee, like myself, as you can see, I've just got a takeaway coffee, or your tea drinker, you have to consider it's a diuretic. And that means that you're going to end up weeing more out than what you've drunk. So you really need to manage that. Of course, also it is caffeine, so it will give you that sort of fight or flight response as well. So you really need to manage this. I tend to say if you can manage between 1 to 3 cups in a day, that's totally fine. Good little trick, what you could do as a habit stacker is to have a glass of water either before or after you have a cup of tea or coffee. And that is by far a great way of managing your intake and making sure, of course, you keep your water on point. Okay, so now on tip number 7, and that is have nutritious foods, the likes of vegetables and fruit. Now, a good little trick is every meal you have, so let's just say you're going for 3 meals a day, each one of them will contain a vegetable or some fruit on that plate. That's a really good tip to keep you on point, because these have high water levels. Say with fruit, for example, likes of grapefruit, melon, blueberries, they have really high content of water, which means that's going to help you stay hydrated. The likes of green vegetables, high water content. So just consider that when you do your daily plan of your eating, and that again will really contribute towards keeping you hydrated and keeping the water levels on point. That's tip number 7. Only one more to go. Let me show this last one. And the last but not least tip number 8, and that is hot water alternatives or the likes of herbal teas. But of course, herbal teas isn't caffeine unless it's green tea. But if you're looking at peppermint tea, chamomile, or any of the fruit teas, that is brilliant. It's not a diuretic and it contributes towards your water intake. The other thing to mention is hot water with some lemon, little segment of lemon or lime is really good for detoxing and cleansing you. So it's really good. Like I mentioned on the first one, having water first thing in the morning, a good thing to have is hot water with lemon or lime segment. So I'd certainly try that out. And there you have it. They are the 8 tips. So let's just bring you to the last part of the video. Hope you enjoyed this video and hope you found this really informative, and it's going to encourage you to drink that little bit more water and stay hydrated. And of course, if you enjoyed this type of content and you've got any suggestions what sort of subjects you'd like me to talk about in the future, please leave a comment, and of course give it a like, subscribe, hit that bell button. It really helps to reach more people like yourself who may need a bit of help with your health and fitness goals and lifestyle. So thank you very much for joining me. Hope you're back next week. Every Wednesday it gets released, and thank you very much.